Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the Vault. This episode is Fraudulent Transfer, case study number 1. Definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in live and hitting the like and hitting the subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you definitely are returning, hit the like button. Definitely always appreciate it. Just go ahead and hit it so we can continue to grow the channel. Always appreciate everybody that does that. Always gotta give acknowledgement to it too in the beginning because so many people in the replay go back and hit the like and the subscribe button. So we've been growing the channel every day for years now, and so we always appreciate that. This is a easy case study that we're gonna go through here very briefly. Something we'll put in a playlist at one point with the episodes. In this particular episode, we're going over a fraudulent transfer case study, and so we're going to go ahead and hop into it. First, we want to start off by giving a shout out to Mississippi. Always appreciate Mississippi for tuning in live, tuning in the replay. Always appreciate that. You got Mississippi tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live or listening to replay from. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the alleged conversation that we have in the public going on right now. It's an easy case to follow. This is the FTX case. So when people talk about fraudulent transfers, you can see how in the FTX case, which is a crypto exchange, amongst many things, how they got caught for fraudulent transfer. So we're gonna go through some of the things that were reported in the public, and you all can understand the buzzwords that might get you caught up in fraudulent transfer if you want to know what a fraudulent transfer is. So this is not a what is that called? It's not legal advice or financial advice. It's actually us going through the public information, and so we're gonna go through it. So in the FTX case, Reuters has reported that Sam Bankman-Fried and other executives are being sued for $1 billion. The complaint was filed in the Delaware court. The defendants have been accused of misappropriating funds to finance luxury condominiums, political contributions, speculative assets, and other pet projects, while committing one of their largest frauds in history. So, maybe not the financial fraud and the pet projects, but they are being accused of luxury condominiums, political contributions, and speculative assets. They always ask in Trustee Training, well, what's the fraudulent transfer? Allegedly, the fraudulent transfers occurred between 2 years, literally, and they're trying to file bankruptcy in Chapter 11. So you want to make sure you look up what a Chapter 11 is. Think about what they said already. Condominiums. Think about it. Trustees. Political contributions. Oh, you thought when you get rich you don't have to give to the elite. You thought when you got rich you didn't have to grease the politicians. Is it not the game? That's how you get $1 billion in 2 years, and then get knocked off right after it. Speculative investments. Oh wow, how was that illegal? Well, the game was very different 2 years ago when it comes to investing with other people's money. They've changed those rules relatively in the past few years again. The transfers were made when FTX related entities were insolvent and the defendants knew it. These are the things that they're saying. Now, you all can go look this up. Federal law lets bankruptcy trustees avoid transfers of property made in the 2 years before Chapter 11 if the transfers are made for less than their value with an intent to defraud a bankruptcy estate. So once again, we're looking at some of the information here to sharing with you all what a fraudulent transfer looks like. It's very interesting to see what a fraudulent transfer looks like in the public. When they say, oh, I don't want to do a fraudulent transfer. Doesn't sound like you might want to do what FTX did. But guess what? FTX filed bankruptcy. They weren't accused of a crime. See how that is? But then they did have to go into court. And now they're having to deal with the bankruptcy courts. And the bankruptcy courts saying, you guys masterminded a fraud that led to the collapse of the company. They're saying that the CEOs, Bankman Fried, was misappropriating funds. They said he misappropriated $546 million. You think about it. Now this isn't even his money, first of all. Just like it's not going to be your money. So if you ever manage $546 million, which is usually other people's money, this guy bought that, they said, in $500 million in shares of Robinhood. They got another executive paying themselves $28 million in bonuses. So, as you all can hear, there's a lot to unpack in these particular cases. Of course there is. It's a lot to unpack in these particular cases. But in these particular cases, they're going to go through and look at the books. But it's just so much to it, ladies and gentlemen. These companies were set up in the islands. They were operating in the islands. We're going to see how they're. You want to always check if these people have multiple citizenships. Maybe they got him because he's not a flight risk, or maybe they got him to make sure he's not a flight risk. As you all can hear, this case was easy peasy lemon squeezy, partially because they actually filed bankruptcy. So some people like to accuse Donald Trump of things. Well, Sam Bankman-Fried might be a Donald Trump for sure if he can get out of this situation where, once again, the fraudulent transfer doesn't happen, but the bankruptcy just happens now. We want to actually point out that some SVB, Silicon Valley Bank executives have been hired just recently to go work with new companies. So the company they were with just went under, bankrupt. Yeah, you hear how that went? They went bankrupt. The bank went bankrupt, and then the CEOs, they get to get out and get another job. Now, in traditional performance operating environments, such as the CEO, usually the CEO has to make sure that the company performs. You're the CEO. There's nowhere the buck stops. When they do the earnings report, the CEO is one of the first people to speak. Right. So it's a complete officer malfeasance where they made a mistake. Did they really make a mistake? Well, they're being accused of fraudulent transfer. Same thing we did an episode on. So now that you're getting hit with the fraudulent transfer, they are you like stink on the fly. Why? Because you did condominiums, political contributions, and speculative investments. Once they started to find out those things, they really have some leeway, and it doesn't sound like he was being a quality trustee. Now, the speculative assets, that whether y'all know it or not, that actually means he was doing super risque stuff. No doubt about it. The risque level was you don't want to know how big the risque level was and how big his returns were going to be. But they were going to be astronomical. That's why it was $1 billion fund. But what's interesting is to see how many companies these people set up compared to the average person. The average person thinks, oh, I'm going to go set up my little sole proprietorship, my little LLC, my C Corp, my S Corp, whatever it is. But these people are thinking sophisticated. We saw someone the other day say, oh, you go with Wyoming. So first of all, if you're setting up a company in a state that you don't reside or live in, don't you think it would be wise to know or have someone that's in that jurisdiction that knows the laws where the company is set up at? Isn't that important to know that? With the laws in that particular area, specifically for the businesses? Oh man, well I could do it. I'm going to do it because everybody's doing it. Or I'm going to do it because it sounds good. Or I'm going to do it because the lawyer told me to do it. But at the same time, do you have consistent and stable? Do you even know where the business address for the company is? Where in that state, since you've never been there? Have you been to that state? Oh man, no, I'm doing a virtual post office box. And the virtual post office box is in that state. Once again, if it's in that state, it's considered a foreign business to you. meaning that it's not in your domestic state, it's in a foreign jurisdiction, it's in a foreign state, right, to you. Right, no problem. Are you aware of the laws, or do you have people in the area that are aware of the laws for that jurisdiction? Are you aware of that? Are you aware of that? Well, sounds like Bankman Fried. He knew enough, or whoever they knew enough, and the SVB executives knew enough that they were gonna get a job within less than 6 months, and they did. You can go look it up. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen to replay. Hit the like and type into the chat where you tune in live, listen to replay from. This was just wanted to be a quick episode to really cover what we've been covering, which is fraudulent transfer and commingled funds. And this is just one of those episodes. Once again, we definitely wanted to address those things because these are things that trustees get in the training program. They ask a bunch of questions, and there's nothing wrong with asking questions, but they ask a bunch of questions. And this is one of those things that may not stick the first time around, but it does stick, and they need examples. And so this was just an easy public example in the public of what it looks like. So appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. I always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen, and replay. This is Christian at TrustChristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at TrustChristian.com for Trustee Training. We're almost booked up fully for Trustee Training for the next quarter, but we also are working on our next workshop, so we'll allow some new people to come in there. Feel free to reach out, Christian at TrustChristian.com. Peace and joy.